Hey everyone, I'm Tony. Thank you for tuning in. Today I decided to look at gold. Here we're looking at the gold charts, the gold futures, I should say. And we're going to do just a macro look at it, starting with the monthly, and just kind of draw a couple trend lines, see where on the macro this is pointing towards. So I'm going to start here with the low on April 2001. Holy crap, that's a long time ago. And we're going to go, so there's multiple ways to do these trend lines. I kind of like to go to the first, the recent low of 2015, just because that gives us like a more, a more local bottom. And you can see that if we draw that particular trend line, you can see that we've had an uptrend that was respected. We came back here, obviously that gave us this particular bottom, and then ever since it basically bounced off of it, touched, so it became a very, very, very powerful support line, and eventually it broke. There's a theory that says the more touches of a trend line, the more likely it is to break, and sure enough, it broke here. But then we got some nice structure here, and we touched it, and right now we're actually, if we zoom in, we can see that we're actually flirting with a couple touches, and it might break to the upside. So that's interesting. Now, if we draw another long-term trend line starting from the same point in 2011, let's start off here, and we just do an even closer bottom. You can see that that one is very interesting because it actually has also acted as it's basically a trend line that's never been broken since. And it's respected. It got close here in 2019, but it actually just bounced off of that, and we just keep going up. So in general, it looks like we're on this trend line here looks like it just we had a temporary breakdown, and then now it's we're testing to see if we can break through and close at least 2 months on the other side of this trend line. So let's try to do a couple little things here. Let's try to draw some horizontal support and resistance. Let's do the first one here. I think this is a good, yeah, I think this is actually good because we have, so let's see, let's readjust this one. Let's bring it back down here, and let's zoom in. So here on 1041, we have touch, touch, touch. So this is a very strong horizontal line here. We also have another horizontal, basically where we are right now. Let's draw this one here. So if we see, we have touch, 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 break. So ever since we've been flirting between the two horizontals here. And there was another uptrend or attempt to break out here recently. And so, this month is actually kind of interesting to see what happens with this particular trend line. I'm going to take this one out of here just to kind of see where we are. So it's looking pretty strong, to be honest with you. If it's able to break through and close 1 or 2 months on the upside of this trend line, I'd say it's pretty likely we see 1,800. Let's just draw that horizontal there. Now let's draw a couple of fibs on the more recent time frame. So let's actually let's see here. Go to this high. Go to this particular low here at 1,045, and you can see that we just broke, or we tested, let's say, the 61.8 fib, which is the range here between 78.6 and 61.8 is a common shorting zone for institutions, for the big players, for the whales. So kind of curious to see what happens here. And we're looking at the monthly. So let's go into the weekly. Let's see how this looks here. So on the weekly, it's still looking pretty strong. We have 2, actually 3, 4 weeks 5 weeks actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks where, yeah, we tested going below the trend line, but it actually closed above it. So that's a pretty good sign that that gold looks a little stronger. Now, the problem here is that we have, again, this 61.8 to me seems that a lot of the big players are trying to basically unload their supply on some of the market here. But in general, as long as we are able to close and stay above this particular trend line, that is a very strong, a very likely, is very likely to maintain itself going higher. And if it does maintain, I see it going anywhere between 1588 and 1735, between these two Fibonacci levels. I think it's just the most likely case. If it breaks below this trend line, I think it's likely that we test at 38.2, which happens to be another horizontal here on the weekly. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And that actually kind of does make sense that they would test that because we have the 200 moving average, the EMA here, that most likely by the time that would happen, that these two might coincide. So again, this is not financial advice. There's nothing here that's saying that this is going to happen or whatnot. It's just probabilities. That's all this is, technical analysis. So on the upside, we're looking at maybe if it does stay above this and it's able to gain strength, which it looks like, well, based on the volume here and also volume here, it looks like there's some powerful, it's a powerful move. I think we might be looking at a high of 1802. And if it breaks below, especially if it breaks below this particular, if it breaks below 1462, most likely we're looking at 1377, give or take, 1375. So I would say that it's the next couple of weeks, months are going to be indicative, but on a macro level. But so far, it's looking pretty powerful. There's a lot of stuff that's going on with China and the coronavirus, and a lot of, at the end of the day, fundamentals are going to trump any kind of technical analysis. But it's looking pretty interesting, gold is at this point. And it depends who you talk to. If you listen to certain podcasts or certain people, some of them are gold bugs, and they're just going to believe the price is going to keep going up and up and up and up. Then you got the pessimists who are going to think the price is going to keep going down, down, down. I think that this is just a general zone that one can. And it's a pretty big target, obviously, but this is where I believe we're headed. So I mean, we're gonna. This is the likely range that we're headed in the macro level. Anything can happen, but this is the current case. Now, not financial advice, and I'm not taking this trade whatsoever. But if I were to take a trade, I think it's pretty decent to assume. And right now, it looks like we're at 1567. It looks like we keep playing with this trend line, so it's very likely that it'll go lower. So if I were going to go on a long, which I don't know if it's a good idea, to be honest with you, considering that we're on 61.8 here. But let's assume that we're going on a long. I would keep a very tight stop. I guess technically you could go as low as this. And then with a target of perhaps this trend line. And you're looking at let's see here, a 1.6. And that's not really my preferred risk reward. Usually I want for it to be at least 2 to 1. So I don't think this long trade would be for me. I think I would rather, again, I'm not taking any trades whatsoever. This is not advice. This is just what I'm kind of seeing. If there was if I had to make a decision today, and somebody told me, hey, where would you do the short? I think I would do a short risking no more than up to 1624, and with a target of the 38.2. I think that to me seems more realistic, and it's a 3 to 1 risk reward ratio. So if one wanted to short, I think this makes a lot more sense than going long at this point. But it all depends on your research. This just seems a little bit more logical to me per se. Um, Keep a tight risk reward ratio, and you can live another day to trade or just keep investing or keep doing your thing. This to me seems like a more logical thing. And if you get stopped out, you get stopped out. No big deal. Just never risk more than you can afford to lose, and make sure that you just keep studying and make sure that you're confident in your trades. Again, I would not take this trade at all because it's not my market. I'm not going to do that. I just like to keep an eye on gold to make sure that things are kind of going on a macro level, economic level, the way that I kind of see it going. But so far, it's looking good on a long-term macro level. Gold keeps going up. So unless we get some sort of a crazy breakdown, I'm looking pretty. It's not looking bad. Again, the next couple of weeks are going to be interesting, especially with what happens with the coronavirus and China in general and all these alleged wars that are happening. So we'll see how that whole develops. That whole thing, uh, it's crazy. So as much as I try not to pay too much attention to politics and this or that, you kind of have to. At least you got to have your finger on it somehow. So that's basically it for this brief gold futures analysis. Again, this is me being completely new to this streaming. It took me, believe it or not, it took me about an hour to get everything set up because my microphones weren't working, the screen is laggy. There's a lot of things that aren't going my way, but I figured, you know what, let's get one of these out, and it's going to be a couple videos are going to be a little bit they're not going to be the best quality, but we're working on it. Hopefully this gets a little bit better and better, and I hope to see you guys soon. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, send me a comment. Tell me what you'd like to see more of. If you'd like to see less of something, you want me to focus more on the lower time frames, the daily, the hourly, the minute. Any other assets, if you'd like for me to look at, the hot stocks like Tesla, Apple, blue chips like IBM, crypto, whatever you guys want to look at, let me know and I'll give you my perspective. Thanks a lot. Again, my name is Tony. See you later.